Aloha, I'm Reverend Tim Lytle, Senior Minister here at Unity Church of Hawaii in Honolulu. And we are so grateful for all of you who watch us on our YouTube channel. We know with you that as you view these teachings and apply them to your lives, that it helps to build your life into the very best one that can be imagined. If you're ever in the area, please come and join us for a service, and please enjoy the message that you're about to watch. Aloha.
And now I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Lee Shapiro. Lee is a true Renaissance man, from what I hear. He is an engineer, a past hospital administrator, artist, writer, inspirational speaker, poet, teacher, counselor, and seminar leader. He is a nationally renowned watercolorist who has exhibited in over 40 galleries across the United States. Lee is best known for his illustration of the international best-selling children's classic, There's No Such Place as Far Away, written by Richard Bach. In addition to being a relationship counselor for, get this, 39 years, he conducts seminars entitled The Art of Melting Conflict across the U.S., and that is the same seminar that will be here tomorrow. I took it last year for a ministerial school, and I can tell you it is worth it. So please, if you're able to attend, join us. And without any further ado, I welcome Mr. Lee Shapiro. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Aloha. I'd like to share with you and explore with you miracles and synchronicities. And we've all had experiences of synchronicity when sometimes you'll be thinking about someone that you haven't thought about in a long time, and suddenly the phone rings and they're on the other end of the phone. Or you may receive guidance in some way, or you really needed to hear something, and then you meet with someone or you read the daily word, and it's exactly what you needed to hear. So these are some examples of the synchronicities that we've all received, and sometimes it comes in a dream state. And I had a dream several years ago that kind of defined my view of reality. It's of where the distinction between what we consider the real 3D world and the spiritual world. And it was a time when I had been married for 17 years, and one of the challenges of our relationship was that my wife Joyce and I were on different spiritual paths. And it was difficult for her because she really wanted to share her path with her partner, and I was not on the same path. And she was at a spiritual retreat at the same time I was at a psychology workshop. And suddenly I was floored with an awareness that her heart had been blasted open in this retreat, and that she had met another man and was confused about her relationship with me. And it scared me because I was really in love with her. And when she came back, I asked her about it, and she said, yes, I met this man, his name is Harry, and I think he's my soulmate, and I want to go out and explore my relationship with him in 3 weeks. And it just threw me into my deepest fear. And then I had this dream, and the first part of the dream, I saw myself as a point of golden light. And I was connected with all these other points of light in this vast three-dimensional matrix, kind of like how molecules and atoms are connected, if you remember that from biology. And I recognized that the bond that held us together held a frequency of love. And who we were in the totality was God. And we were all an integral part of that totality. It's kind of like what Jung talked about in the collective unconscious. And I chose to leave that very peaceful yet dynamic reality, and I came to the earth plane. And on earth, everyone was in jail. And I was the only one that could see the bars of the prison. And the bars of the prison held a frequency of fear. And that was a predicament of this plane of consciousness, was the existence of fear. And I was a teacher, and I was standing on a stage, and I was saying to everyone, I'm going to teach you about trust. And this huge, hairy monster comes in. He's about 20 feet tall. And remember, the guy's name was Harry that she was involved with. And this hairy monster came up to me and started choking me. Well, he was way too big for me to resist him. And this was part of the demonstration I was making. So I just stood there peacefully as he choked the life out of my body, and I dropped dead to the floor. And then I walked in from stage right, and I said, "That's trust." And I realized that my deepest fear could not annihilate me. And that gave me the clarity to say to Joyce, I don't get that what you're looking for is out there with another man. I think what you're looking for is an experience within yourself. But if you feel this is the only way that you can find your truth, then you do what you must do. But my sense is that you're my wife, and if you want to come back, I'm here for you. So as John Denver's saying, sometimes love is holding on and sometimes letting go. And that was letting go. And anyway, she went out and explored and then came back and said that she wanted to be with me. And so we were together for about another 12 years, and then basically a similar thing happened, and we parted as friends. And then the next relationship, right after that, I moved to Maui. I was living in Aspen, and I met my next partner, who her name is Mira Rose, and she's a channel. And Mira Rose is the real deal. I mean, she brings through a consciousness that is the most amazing consciousness I've ever experienced. And we would tune in together to what we call the guides or the guidance. And one day, I remember we had an experience where I was in the living room, and I'm kind of an open-minded skeptic. So I'm open to the possibility, but I really value experience more than anything. It's kind of like Carl Jung once said, he was asked, "Do you believe in God?" And he said, "No, I don't believe in God. I experience God." So I value experience more than belief. And so anyway, I was sitting in the living room with Mira, and I was talking to the guides in my mind. And I was saying to them, "Are you guys for real, or am I just making all this stuff up?" And they said to me, "Give us a test." I thought, wow, that's interesting. And I thought about it a little bit, and I said, okay, here's the test. I want to ask a question, and I want you to give me the perfect answer to my question. And I want it to come over the television set. And I want it to happen immediately. Like as soon as I finish asking my question, I will hear the perfect answer to my question on the television set. Tall order. So they said, go ahead, ask your question. Well, there were commercials going on the TV. I wasn't paying attention to the TV. And I thought about it, and I said, how is it I can best learn to channel? And the very next words on the television set said, just relax and let go of your mind. It was perfect. So I started laughing. Yeah. I started laughing, and Mira said, what's going on? And I told her what was happening, and I said, boy, now I'm really in my head, and I'd like to ask the guides through you a little bit about what just happened here. And I said, did you guys just create this event? And they said, we didn't create it as you understand the concept of creation. We exist outside of the realm of time and space. We understand the sequence of events that happens on your plane of consciousness, and if you will, we've synchronized with that. And then I said, well, yeah, but I asked the question. And they said, and who do you think you really are, separate from us? So that really crystallized it and really tied into that earlier dream I was speaking about. And after having so many of these experiences, I've come to a place where I really believe that everything is grace, that everything that happens is a gift for me. And so when things don't fit my pictures, there's a part of me that's going, I wonder what this is all about. So at one point, I'm a whitewater kayaker, and someone had stolen my kayak in Aspen. And when that happened, I was like, what's this about, And then I kept having dreams that I caught the guys that stole my boat in Aspen. And about 5 weeks later, I had the dream again. Only this time, when I woke up, I remembered where it was that I caught these guys. And it was on a remote road outside of Aspen. And I told Joyce about it. I said, I'm going to go check this out. And I got on my motorcycle and I drove up there. And the guy who had stolen the boat had stashed the boat in the woods for 5 weeks. And he was just heading back to his home in Wisconsin. And he loaded the boat on his car, and he pulled out of his driveway just as I rode up on my motorcycle. And I'm like, wow, there's my boat. You know, I was really excited, and I approached the guy in a friendly way. And I said, hey, where'd you get your boat? And he said, I bought it from some guys. And I said, wow, they must be the ones that stole it, and you can come with me to the police department, and they'll verify for you that it's mine. And, of course, he didn't want to go, and he said, I'm going to Wisconsin. But I could tell from his energy that he was the one that stole the boat. And I thought, what am I going to do, you know? And just then, a friend of mine pulls up, who's a cop in Aspen, and he says, what's happening, Lee? And I told him what was going on. And the upshot of the story was they recovered thousands of dollars of mountain bikes and skis that this guy had stolen that were all in his car. And so he got to find out about crime and punishment, and everybody got their stuff back. So it was another great affirmation for me of what we're speaking about that synchronicity. And another thing that happened years later, about 10 years ago, my sister passed away with cancer. And when she was in her final days, my brother and I were with her, and we were in her basement, and she had a big library there. And this one book was just shouting at me. And I said to my brother, I'm getting that I'm supposed to take this book off the shelf and open it to a page in the middle and start reading, that Spirit has a message for us. So I did that. I took the book and I opened it, and what it said was, death. Death is like taking off a tight shoe. And I shared that with Rhonda, and we all just glowed from that, the gift of that. And then she said to me, before she passed, she said that the way she would show up for me after she went to the other side to let me know that she was with me was with purple flowers. Okay? So about a year ago, I was at home watching television. There was a movie on TV called A Bridge to Terabithia. And it's the story of a 12-year-old boy. You've seen it. It's a story of a 12-year-old boy who has this remarkable girlfriend. And in the forest near their home, there's a river and a swinging rope across the river. And the other side of the river, they would swing across the rope, and the other side of the river is the land of Terabithia, where their fantasies become real. And they would speak fantasy stories and then experience it happening. And one day, there's a flood, and the river is really big, and his girlfriend on her own goes to swing across the rope, and the rope breaks, and she falls in the river and drowns. And the boy is having a really hard time dealing with his grief of losing his friend. And in the process, and he had a younger sister who kept wanting to play with him, who was about the same age difference as my sister and I. And he would push her away, saying, "You're too young to play with us." And she really wanted to be with her big brother. And anyway, so in the process of dealing with her death and his grief, his heart opens to his sister, and he builds her a bridge to Terabithia, a bridge across the river. And he takes her by the hand, and they're walking through the forest together to show her what he's created. And as they're walking together, and with the death and everything, I was thinking about Rhonda, my sister, and I was just missing her terribly, you know, and I was crying, and because that was like I was her big brother, her hero, you know, and I missed that role that I played with her. And so I was crying, and in my mind I was saying, so Rhonda, when are you going to show me purple flowers? I want to see purple flowers. Just then, in the movie, they arrive at the bridge, and his sister turns to him and says, "Can there be purple flowers there?" And I'm like, did that really happen? And he says, yes. And they walk across the bridge, and there's purple flowers everywhere. And I just lost it. So, another experience that happened for me, my mother was a truly remarkable person. When I was 22, I went to go backpack through Europe. And when we were at the airport, my mother was kind of being very clingy. And I said, "What's going on?" And she said, and even though she was only 43 and quite healthy, she said, "I have this thought that I'm going to die while you're gone, and you're not going to come to my funeral." And I just thought that was ridiculous. And I said, "That's, silly." And but then a month later, I was in Florence, Italy, with some friends. And suddenly I was floored with this awareness that my mother had just died from a heart attack. And I tried to get to a telephone. I told my friends about it, and we searched around for a phone. And it's not like today where you can pick up your cell phone and call the United States. And we couldn't find a phone. And about an hour later, the thought was we couldn't find a phone, and the thought was gone. The feeling was gone. And so I let it go. And they couldn't find me. They couldn't contact me in Europe. And so, true to what she had said, I didn't come back for the funeral. And I did come back about a week later. And when I did come back, though there was about a month later, her last letter to me had gone to Europe and then came back. And in her last letter to me, the last sentence said, "Even though on the physical plane we've never been further separated, on the spiritual plane we've never been closer." So, yeah, I just bring that in, that we are, that is always with us, that we are all connected, that our souls are always connected. And through that frequency of love, we can find that connection. So I'd like to ask you just close your eyes for a moment, please. And bring your mother into your heart in this moment. And know that she is with you, that she will always be with you. And that we have guides and angels around us. And that you are seen and loved far more than your human mind could ever imagine. And allow yourself to receive the beauty and the truth of that, because that is the truth. And as you feel that frequency, also you may want to do a practice that I like to do, and that is to occasionally ask Spirit, what does it truly mean for me to be a nurturing parent to my child inside? And when you get that clear answer that resonates in every part of your being as the truth, you do that action. You be that nurturing parent for yourself. So I offer that to you as a practice. And if you'd like to open your eyes now, I just want to thank you all for being here, and blessings to you. Thank you.